Welcome back to the Mystery School. Today we're going to be talking about something I find very interesting, something very dystopian, the Metaverse. The word meta itself comes from the meta key. These are keyboard keys. Um, Pay attention to this because keys are going to be very important in this video. Meta keys are keys that you can only activate whenever you depress the control key. You hold down the control button and then you press that key. So essentially, these are alternate reality versions of the same button. Two different buttons exist on the same key. These are two different things, two different icons, two different realities. They can be present in one key. Only whenever you give up command, whenever you allow command to be pressed upon you, can you enter the meta key. Control is part and parcel to the meta key. You have to have control. Same thing applies to the metaverse. Only whenever you give away your control to people in power like Mark Zuckerberg will you ever be able to access this other reality, this metaverse reality. The term metaverse comes from a Neil Stephenson story that was named Snow Crash. This was a dystopian story about humans that lived in a very poverty-ridden state. They escape onto the metaverse, which is a virtual reality, in order to escape their actual physical reality. The picture you see in front of you is actually a picture taken just from the streets of Philadelphia in an open-air drug market. These people are living in a reality, a metaverse, if you will, that they can only enter whenever they give control over to a drug, whether it's heroin, meth, or whatever. They escape reality and enter this drugged out reality by ceding control over to the substance. It's the same idea with the metaverse. You can escape your shitty world and enter the metaverse world. This world is becoming ever more likely day by day because the world sucks, and we all know it sucks. The cost of gas and food is going up. Everything is becoming more expensive, more labor intensive. In order to get a meal, I have to work for 2 hours. It's ridiculous. So people are forced to live in tents. People are forced to live on the streets. People are forced to escape any way they can. For some of us, the metaverse is YouTube. For me, it is. Making videos and watching videos, this is how I escape reality. By informing others, I feel like I'm at least contributing something to this ether, this ethernet, this internet. The metaverse is supposed to be dystopian, and yet you have Mark Zuckerberg naming Facebook Meta after Ready Player One. Ready Player One, the metaverse in that reality was called the Oasis. An oasis being the only place of sanctuary in the desert, the only place with water, the place you go to escape from the harsh reality that surrounds you. That's what the metaverse is. That's what the oasis is. And it was designed by this crazy scientist gamer nerd that was obsessed with pop culture and never had a girlfriend. And he escaped reality because he was always fearful of the real world. He escaped into a land of pop culture and gaming in order to have fun, in order to exist in a place where he wasn't miserable. People are doing this more and more, living on things like Instagram and Facebook. Facebook changed the name of their company to Meta because of the metaverse. What is their symbol? It's a lemniscape. If you know anything about esoteric symbolism, you know that lemniscape is a symbol that is above the magician's head in the tarot deck. It's also above the two of coins and above the strength card. This is a magical symbol that represents the path of humanity. The 4 choices, forward, backwards, left, and right. The coin, the cup, the wand, and the sword. The 4 different suits from the playing card game, okay? North, south, east, and west. This represents reality in a three-dimensional space, and it represents the heart chakra, the very center, the crossroads, the four different roads that merge, so that every path, no matter which way you go, you end up at the same point. You end up back in the middle, and you just go around this endless loop, this like a track on Mario Kart 8. You're just going around a track, coming back to the same point. The crossroads has four paths leading off of it, representing the four different suits, the four different aspects of man, the lion, the bull, the man, and the eagle. These are archetypical destinies that all lead back to the center point, the heart chakra. There's a reason the heart has four chambers because of the four roads. This is the center of most ancient architecture. That is the symbol for Metaverse, the lemniscape, the figure eight, the path of the spirit. The magician waits for you at the center of the four crossroads. You go to the magician to ask which destiny should you choose. And then you pick your path. And it leads back to the same fucking place because the game is rigged by the creator. It just takes time in order to see the pattern. But humans do not exist just as linear beings. We are spiritual beings that exist outside of a three-dimensional existence. Just as a three-dimensional object casts a two-dimensional shadow, we are three-dimensional shadows of a higher self, a four-dimensional spatial object that exists outside of time, that exists where time is whole, complete, where time is like matter to us. As we can interact with matter on our higher planes of existence, we can interact with time by things like choice. Choice is the key to the entire Matrix. I know I talked a lot about the Matrix recently, but the new one's coming out, and I would just watch the Animatrix, and it had points in it that was all about Alice. And Alice in Wonderland, the detective's name, his cat's name was Dinah. And after I saw that, I was like, wow, there's going to be a ton of other references. And sure enough, the Red Queen, Through the Looking Glass, etc., etc. Because any other reality is a metaverse, whether it's Wonderland, or it's a movie that you escape into, or it's a drug coma, whatever that is your meta reality that you only enter whenever you cede control to a third party. And this could be Mark Zuckerberg, or this could be something more. Meta, the metaverse, Ready Player One was all about the High Five, a group of gamers that were searching for Easter eggs. In order to achieve these Easter eggs, they have to find three different keys: the copper key, the jade key, and the crystal key. These represent the three different points of the chakra, or the three different points of the lemniscape, the ends and the center. This represents the main chakras: the root chakra, or the copper key, the bronze feet from the Book of Revelations, or from the golem of Kabbalistic mysticism, or the jade key, which is the green key, or the heart key, the center of the figure eight, the center chakra, or the crystal key, which is the pineal gland. The pineal gland is crystalline in nature. It vibrates and is able to act as a piezoelectric generator, and releases different tryptamines that induce higher states of consciousness. This is the crown chakra, the crystal key, the last key. There are three keys in this movie, just like there's three gates. These three different keys aren't just gold, silver, and bronze, which are typical of the three different video game keys. They are the jade key, the copper key, and the crystal key. I found that very fascinating because the three gates of enlightenment were basically like they were pictured in this movie about a metaverse reality. In order to find the last Easter egg that was left by the creator, where the Easter egg is represented in the last chamber of the secret Easter egg room, being held up by two coiled serpents because it's an Orphic egg. It is the cosmic egg. Just as one enters the reality through the birth canal or enters Wonderland through the looking glass, one also enters a higher state of being through the cracking of the egg, because you are the cosmic entity that is existing within that egg. This experience of life is all about being able to break your way out of that reality and come into the new reality, the higher reality, going behind the veil. Just like the magician from tarot has a lemniscape above his head, he was a wizard, he was a magician. And the wizard from Oz was behind the curtain, just as the actors are behind the curtain, just as the Holy of Holies in the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. All of this is behind the veil, behind the curtain. A 4-inch wide piece of cloth that separates the masses, the unclean masses, from the Holy of Holies, where only the most devout Levites are allowed in. The Sanctum Sanctorum means a secret place because it is behind the veil, just as the wizard is behind the veil, just as God is behind the veil. This breaking of the veil, breaking of the cosmic egg, is past the last gate, past the third gate, which is the no key gate. And I found it very funny. I asked a certain computer program to give me some information about Ready Player One, which I hadn't watched Ready Player One. Even though it's been out for a while, I was scared to watch it because it has a character in it called the Iron Giant. And my little girl, her favorite movie growing up was The Iron Giant. She would watch that movie on her little small DVD player in her little small blue chair, and it was just the most adorable thing ever. She even had this stuffed animal that she called Bot because of that movie. She loved that movie. So whenever I saw that character was in this movie, I couldn't watch it because it hurt too much. But finally I buckled down and I watched it. And I realized this is all about what they want for humanity. They want control over your dopamine. They already have control over it on things like Facebook and Instagram. It will eventually be like the Metaverse in the Oasis in Ready Player One. The high five, they represent the five senses, and ceding control of your five senses over to a dystopic corporation that has its own law enforcement and its own ability to kill and to destroy financially. Everyone's financial futures are resting in a digital world. You're working in a digital world. You're enjoying yourself and spending your money in a digital world. You're buying things like NXTs that are digital copies of hard assets that exist only in a digital world, like a digital copy, but it's an original print that no one else can have of a famous piece of art. Or they'll use NXTs eventually for items in video games, for unique items that only one person is allowed to have at a time. And this will be like your receipt for that digital item or that digital painting or that piece of digital music that will be yours and yours alone. These will be highly valuable assets, but they will only exist in a digital realm. They won't be real, but you'll still put actual money and actual labor into acquiring these objects. The blockchain and cryptocurrencies, there's a reason they came on the scene at the same time. They're going to be used in this metaverse reality. There's not going to be a physical cash anymore. Why do you think they have this whole pandemic thing? This is to shut down all these small businesses and to consolidate power into the hands of the elite. This is the largest transfer of wealth that's ever been observed in humanity. All these mom and pop stores are closed down, and big businesses like Amazon and Walmart, any company that has a magical symbol as their logo, basically, all of those guys get lifted up, and everyone else gets shut down. And you're forced to go to these big box stores now because all their business has been destroyed by these regulations that were put in place. This is intentional. This is to make it so there is no more middle class. There's nothing but the proletariat. There's nothing but the lower class. We all live in a state of poverty. And as the Davos group says, we will have nothing, we will own nothing, and we will be happy because we'll be in a digital world, a meta world, which you already exist in to one state or another. I luckily have no friends in the digital world or in the real world. I like to stay by myself. I can trust myself. It's because people have become their baser selves. People are not afraid to be dicks online because of anonymity and because they can be whoever they want to be. This is the same idea as the trans movement about you can be male even if you're born female, or you can be female even if you're born male. You can change your gender based on whatever you believe yourself to be. The avatar movement is an extension of this. Just like furries are an extension of this. It's you pretending to be something that you're not. You're leaving reality and pretending to be in reality in a different body. That there's a meta reality. You are no longer yourself. The reason they're pushing this idea is to separate your consciousness from your physical body. They're doing this just like they're trying to separate moms and dads from the family unit. They're doing this to break down your will. They want you to stay in a pod, eat bugs, and enjoy a digital life. But don't go outside because it's not healthy. Don't exchange physical money because there might be a virus on it. And all these different regulations they're putting in place because of the pandemic, it is in order to have complete control. In Ready Player One, there was corporations that had these places called loyalty centers, which were essentially concentration camps, where they made you stay there and work off your debt by basically Bitcoin mining, which I found extremely funny because it's very, very likely that something like that could happen. I asked this program to tell me a little bit about the different keys that were in Ready Player One. So I got these really cool answers by this program. Oh, I want to show you this first. This is just reality. This is how people live currently in downtown Philadelphia. And this is disgusting. I mean, people living in tents. Yeah, they can't help they live like this. They're just trying to survive. And this is how Matt Stone and Trey Parker from South Park predict the future 40 years from now. It's exactly the same thing we see. And look at that. All the kids are living in a virtual reality space. The future they portrayed is very, very likely and hilarious. It really is. And in that future, Kenny is a genius that helps the whole world, basically. The same way that the creator, Mr. Holiday, the same way that he helped create the Oasis in Ready Player One. And the meta reality that Kenny was talking about was the reality that was created under COVID. That we're living this fake reality where people think that face masks will stop the virus. And that a mild variation like Omicron is allowed to be used to take away our freedoms. I found it funny that Biden calls it the Omnicron because Omni means all, and Kron is like Kronos or the Lord of Death, the Lord of Time. So he's basically saying all death, which is, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I found that very funny. So anyways, I was asking a program about these keys, right? And it says, I asked plainly, hey, blank, what was the first key in Ready Player One? And it says the copper key. It has a picture of the copper key. Then I say, hey, blank, what was the second key in Ready Player One? And it says the jade key, right? And then I said, The only thing I changed was the third key. I said, what was the third key in Ready Player One? And it says the third gate. Because the gate is the key. The key is the gate. It is the no key gate. It is the fall to fly gate. It is the third gate. You have the no fear gate. You have the magic mirror gate. And then you have the fall to fly gate. The gate is the key itself. It is the leap of faith. These are the three trials of Jesus. These are the three temptations of the Buddha under the Bodhi tree. These are the three trials of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, written by Steven Spielberg. Ready Player One, also written by Steven Spielberg. So it's full of esoteric occult symbolism. And the metaverse is what they want us to live in. There's a reason that Easter eggs are things that are hidden in games. There's a reason you search for the Easter eggs, and only adolescents are allowed to do it. This represents an ancient pagan holiday where girls that get their first period are used in a sexual manner by the priesthood. The priesthood copulates with these young girls, putting their seed inside of them. And the following year, the 3-month-old babies are then sacrificed to Baal in the hands of a giant flaming bronze bull. And Easter eggs, or Ishtar eggs, are dyed red to symbolize this infanticide, this child sacrifice. So this goes back to the ancient Sumerians, the Babylonians. This goes back to the sky god people, what became eventually the Hebrew faith. The idea of the 3 different keys, the fact they put this in Ready Player One, and it was to unlock an Easter egg, which the Easter egg is the Orphic egg. The Orphic egg, as portrayed in this movie, was flanked by 2 serpents representing the Kundalini serpents, moving up the chakra ladder, bringing enlightenment to the person. These are the 3 keys, the 3 chakras. The last key to unlock is your mind. The last lock to unlock, the last key is your brain. There is no way to fly except to jump. In that movie, The Animatrix, I just watched, there was this kid who knew he was in the Matrix but couldn't get out. And he jumped off a building because he had faith in Neo and faith that he would wake up. And he was the first and only person in the entire canon of the Matrix that was able to self-substantiate, as Trinity called it. This was your ability to jack off, to get, as opposed to jack on, to get out of the Matrix on your own accord. Typically, they have to unhook you. He unhooked himself by jumping off of a building, by falling to fly, by having faith. He was able to pierce the veil and enter into reality and to escape the Matrix. But the Matrix they put before you now, it is a Matrix you will enter by your own volition. And will be used in combination with things like Neuralink. And it will be able to satisfy all 5 of your senses. You'll be able to eat a meal and get full off of it and feel like you just tasted something delicious. But you will have nothing but neurons being triggered by electrons from gold wires running around the gray matter of your brain. Because humans are machines that can be programmed just as easily. And we are virtual brains. And virtual brains perceive reality that they are presented as reality, regardless of whether or not it's real. Whenever you're in a dream, you do not consciously realize you're in a dream. And if you do, you're very special. I've only done it a few times. This is lucid dreaming. This is realizing that you are in a meta reality where you have ceded control to your subconscious. Just like people in the meta drug reality cede their consciousness over to the drug, the heroin, the meth, or whatever. Just like the people who escape into a virtual reality through video games or through watching people on Twitch or YouTube or through online pornography or through role-playing online. These are people who are escaping reality, who are getting their dopamine hits digitally who are jacking on and probably jacking off, to be honest with you. The internet is like 70% pornography, which is funny because our brains are about that dirty as well, if you really truly get down to it. Once you see through the veil, sex doesn't matter as much to you anymore because you realize that this is just one state of existence and there are higher states of existence that are more gratifying. This is love. This is the center. This is where the magician stands. This is the crossroad. This is why the four different paths, the path of the sword, the wand, the cup, and the coin, north, south, east, and west, it all leads back to the same point, the same crossroads. That's why the demon is in the crossroads. This is why your heart has four chambers. This is the center. This is the jade key. This is the most important key. Once you unlock all of your chakras, it's important for you to allow that energy to circle back in on itself like a toroid, and to allow that energy to accumulate and expand forth from your heart chakra to all of reality. This is the reality that you should be living in. As long as we have the ability to love in whatever reality we are placed in, there will be some semblance of humanity. And as long as that humanity is allowed to exist through expressing its love in whatever medium it is allowed to be in, humanity will never die. Because our higher self is love. Love is the nucleus. Love is the core. Love is the proton. Love is the gravity that binds the world together. Love is the force. So have faith in love. And I don't mean love for your spouse. I don't mean love for your children or your best friend. I mean love for a complete stranger, for the angels hidden amongst us, for those poor saps that believe that happiness is one shot away, or one shot away, or one video game gunshot away from just that next triple kill, and they'll be satisfied. Just one more video game. I haven't played video games like that in a long time, and I find that expanding my consciousness is best done within. And whenever you allow different forms of art, to be the way in which you see the world, you are ceding control over to the creator of that art. This is good sometimes. Sometimes you need escape. Sometimes reading a good book and getting lost in someone else's universe and ceding control to that author in order to allow your mind to get taken to a different realm is completely beneficial. It allows you to see through another set of eyes. This is the whole reason we reincarnate, so we can begin to perceive reality through multiple points of view and realize that you are not just one body. Your one body is a chapter in a very long book where there have been very, very many main characters, but the themes and plots have stayed the same, and time is not completely cyclical, but it does rhyme. The spiral of time goes ever onward, and it does repeat itself. This is because reality, the reality in which we are placed, is a reflection of our inner reality, and we create on the outside what is already on the inside. Just as one cell grows into two cells, the core of you eventually becomes the deepest part. I don't know if that even makes sense to you guys. Well, regardless, don't listen to Mark Zuckerberg. Do not allow him control over your reality, because they've already proven that they can't be trusted, because they will censor your ability to speak the truth. They will not allow you to talk against the government mandated message, the media driven narrative that they force you into. They'll tell you stories that make no sense, And if you choose not to believe them, they'll call you crazy. They'll call you conspiracy theorist, because they know that the reality that they live in is already the metaverse, and that they have ceded control over to those in power. And they allow their reality to be dictated to them. They don't dictate reality to the universe. So be your own creator. Have faith in yourself. And love. And as you begin to explore reality through different means, like the metaverse, as long as you keep that, you'll be okay.